health seekers. Inga from Health Origins here. So today we're going to start the wholemeal rye bread that I make every week. So you need to start it really a night before, and then you bake it the next day, or in the morning or in the evening, whenever obviously you've got time to bake. So so let's have a look. So we've got ingredients for the first night. So you will need about a cup of a sourdough rye starter. So you can get the recipe how to make it online, and once you've got it going, then you just keep on feeding it, and putting it in the fridge, and it just keeps on multiplying. So so about a cup of sourdough starter, okay. Then you would need a couple of cups of wholemeal rye flour. Okay, so I'm gonna add a couple of cups. So about 2 cups, and you'll probably need about a cup of water for that amount. It might be a little bit more. You just kind of want everything to be moist but not watery, just a little bit moist and incorporated. So I've got my cup of water, so I'm going to add that and give it a stir. I might do a separate episode of how to make your sourdough starter in the future as well. So, but it's not that complicated. You can see quite a few recipes online. Basically, it's just putting some flour with water. Ratio is about 1 cup of flour to about 2/3 of cup of water, and you could also add some raisins as well. For a few days, maybe 3 to 4 days to start it off, because I think it helps, the raisins, because they're sweet, it helps to attract the yeasts from the air into the sourdough starter quicker. So, and then every day you keep on topping up your sourdough starter about half a cup of flour and maybe a little bit of water as well, and just kind of keep on doing for a few days until it starts. You can see little bubbles starting. It'll probably take about 5-6 days, and then, like I say, you just put the sourdough, bit of sourdough starter, feed it with some fresh flour and some water, and put it in a jar and put like a cloth over it, so not like a metal cap, but just a little cloth with like maybe a rubber band on it, and then just keep it in the fridge. And once every week you just feed some more flour and some more water, and that's it, and it'll keep on going. As long as you feed it once a week, that should be fine. So yeah, so I've got my mixture now. So it's kind of about right. So it's all wet, it's incorporated, but it's not watery, because once it ferments, it becomes a little bit more liquid still. You'll see that it's fermented, because you'll see little bubbles on the side when it kind of starts fermenting. So like little air pockets. So yeah, so that's about it. So I'm gonna just leave this dough, and I'm gonna cover it with clean towel, and I'm gonna put it in the fridge, because if you put it in the fridge, the fermenting is a bit slowed, but because we've got all night, so it's quite a long time, and perhaps if I'm gonna cook it maybe just in the afternoon as well, so it'll have all night and through the day. And if you left it just out on the bench, it would be just too long. It would kind of become too fermented and too liquidy and overproofed. So So it's better to put it in the fridge so it's slower fermentation, and then yeah, we'll continue with the next step tomorrow. Hello, welcome to day 2 of bread making. So it's been overnight and half a day, and the initial mixture that I've made has got some nice kind of fermentation going, some little air pockets, so I'll show you close up. So yeah, so we're going to proceed to step 2 now. I'm going to be adding some, ingredients, and then placing the dough into the baking tin and letting it prove for the second time. So obviously in the fridge it was first proving, and now it's going to be the second proving. I'm going to need an hour and a half for that one, and then we'll be ready to bake. So I've got the sourdough in here. I'm going to be adding 1 tablespoon of caraway seeds. Okay, and I like to add it while it's still a bit more loose into the actual, initial dough before adding all the other ingredients. I find it's easier to mix that way. So 1 tablespoon of caraway seeds. I love caraway seeds in rye bread, really do. And then 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm using Himalayan pink salt. So 1 teaspoon of salt. Then it's about 2 tablespoons of molasses. So I've got Meridian pure molasses, and I'm going to be adding a couple of tablespoons of that. It is a bit sticky, so it's hard to really measure. So I normally just put actually like a 1 overflowing extra big tablespoon, but about 2 tablespoons I would say. If you like it sweeter, you might want to do even 2.5 or 3 tablespoons. So yeah, we'll just add that. And molasses is quite mineral rich, because obviously this is refined from sugar cane, so it's got a lot of minerals. It's got a lot of iron as well. So I like just licking the spoon after I'm done with this. So, and I like mixing with a wooden spatula as well, because it's a bit stronger, I find. So I'm going to mix that through. So the molasses is mixed through. It's given the dough a nice golden colour. So now I'm going to add a couple more cups of rye flour. So add 2 cups. So altogether in this dough there's 5 cups of rye flour. So there's 1 sourdough starter and 4 cups, 2 yesterday and 2 today. So yeah, so there's 2 extra cups of flour, and you need about 1 cup of water, and I'm going to add some hot water to make it warm water. So I would say start with, because the reason I do this is just activates the cold starter quicker, because obviously it's been in the fridge overnight, so it's cold at the minute. So if I add the warm water instead of cold water. It'll activate the natural yeasts quicker. So I'm going to start by adding half a cup and see how much we're going to need. Because start with less, and then if you need more, just add more. Basically the dough needs to be, the dough needs to be obviously quite wet, but quite stiff, not runny or anything. So the less water you can get away with, the better. But as you can see here, it's still like a lot of loose flour and things, you know, so it's really not coming together very well yet. So I think I'm gonna have to add some more. So add a bit of about 2/3 of a cup in already. So I've mixed in the whole dough. It's all incorporated and it's quite hard, you know, it's quite hard to mix actually. So I'm back. I had a bit of technical difficulties, so some of it didn't actually film, but what I did is I basically mixed all the flour in with a 2/3 cup of water, which I said, and that was it. So this is quite a sticky and firm dough, and I've added it to metal tin. So don't make my mistakes and bake bread in silicone tins, because I thought that's where, you know, you can bake bread, but really it's for cakes because it keeps it moist inside, whereas the metal tin, you know, obviously dries it out when it's baking. So I've put a little bit, I sprinkled just a little bit of rice flour. You could probably just use the rye flour as well, just to sprinkle on the bottom of the tin. And then I've added the dough, and I'm just gonna smooth it out with a spatula here. So it's kind of more even. Try and like make it more even towards both ends, and it actually helps if you wet the spatula a little bit, so it kind of helps to smooth it out better because it doesn't stick then. So wet the spatula, and you can then pat the dough down and smooth it out. So that's good. So anyway, so it will level itself out and smooth itself out a bit more while it's rising, you know, for the second proving. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a cloth over it now, and I'm going to place this on a dehydrator. I like to put it on the top of dehydrator where it's nice and warm, or you could perhaps put, you know, like maybe a chopping board on a radiator perhaps, and just put that on, you know, covered with the cloth as well. That works. Or perhaps, you know, you could put your oven on and, you know, leave like on like the lowest setting with the door open and put it in the lower shelf or something, you know, so just somewhere where it's, you know, nice and warm, and where it's gonna have, you know, time to prove. So you need about hour and a half to prove. So yeah, so I'll do that, and then I'll get back to you once the dough has proved. So yeah, so it's been 1.5 hours of proving. So let's have a look at the bread. So yeah, it's risen really nicely, as you can see, and the test to make sure that it's fully proven is when you press, and if it stays, it's kind of stayed. So if it stays, it's fully proven. If it bounces straight back, it means it needs a little bit more proving. So I think this is good because that indent stayed a little bit. So yeah, so what I've done is about half an hour ago I put my oven on 230. So I'm gonna be putting the bread in for first 20 minutes. And I'm gonna, as soon as I'm gonna put it in, I'll reduce it to 220. So 220 for 20 minutes. Then I'm gonna put foil on top of it so that like the top doesn't get too burnt. and then I'll reduce it to 200 and I'll bake it for 1 hour and 10 minutes with that. So yeah, and I'm baking the bread on the pizza stone. If you guys don't have a pizza stone, then you know, obviously you can do it on like a metal grate like this, so that'll work too, but the stone just gives the extra bit of baking power really. So I'm gonna place the bread, reduce it to 220, and I'm gonna put it for 20 minutes. So yeah, so after that 20 minutes, I'm gonna put the foil on and bake for another hour and 10 minutes. So it's been 20 minutes. We're gonna check on the bread. Oh, it's looking good. So it's looking good. I'm gonna turn it around as well. Put the foil on it, and then bake it for another hour and 10 minutes and on 200 degrees. Okay, and we'll check once that's done. So the bread should be ready now. Let's have a look. There we go. It's looking good. So now I'm gonna wait for 5 minutes, let this rest in the tin, and then we're gonna try and take it out, cover with the cloth and let it kind of cool down till it's completely cold, and we'll try and slice it. It's been about 7 minutes. So the bread is starting to cool down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and remove it from the tin. We've got like this, I don't know how to call this tool thing, to try and pry the edges off. So just release it. And then flip it over. Let's see if it lifts. Ta-da! So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cover it in the towel and let it cool down completely, and then we'll slice it up. So the moment of truth, guys, we're going to cut the bread. There we go. Actually, I think I could have probably baked it for another 10-15 minutes, but let's do a taste test. And actually it hasn't fully cooled down yet. It's still warm, so perhaps a photographer.
Give me my bread.
So, you know, once it cools down, I'll, you know, it'll be even better. So yeah, so it's pretty good. Like I say, actually I think I would say probably another 10-15 minutes, so an hour and 10, so I'll probably say an hour and 20, so that it fully bakes through, because now it's a little bit doughy still. I mean, it still tastes good, and you can, you know, toast the bread as well, you know, so that obviously will complete the baking process as well. But yeah, it's not bad. So yeah. So now we can use this with our pesto and any other use, you know, with bread and things. So give it a go and let me know what you thought of it. And if you've got any other good recipes as well yourself. So see you guys next time.